You're working longer hours. You've earned the degrees. You are producing more value for your employer than ever before. Yet, at the end of the month, your bank account looks exactly the same. In the decades following World War II, the economy operated on a clear, reliable agreement. As a worker became more efficient and produced more value, their compensation grew at exactly the same rate. Because physical labor was tied directly to national growth, a regular job generated enough cash to buy a house, raise a family, and build savings. The expansion of the middle class was a direct result of this one-to-one link. Then, in the late 1970s, the economic rulebook was quietly rewritten. Policy shifts and deregulation began to dismantle that social contract, structurally decoupling what you produce from what you earn. Financial stagnation today is the predictable result of playing by an old set of rules in a system now architected to reward people who own assets rather than those who work for a paycheck. The first rule of this modern system is a phenomenon known as wage decoupling. It is the intentional separation of economic output from worker pay. This chart shows the gap. Since 1979, productivity grew 90%, but typical compensation grew just 33%. If wages kept pace, workers would earn an additional $16.40 hourly. That missing money was redirected to shareholder enrichment, driving up stock prices. The primary tool for this is the stock buyback. Companies use their cash to buy their own shares, which inflates executive bonuses, but deprives the actual workforce of wage increases. By treating human labor as a cost to be minimized rather than an investment to be shared, the modern corporate machine places a structural cap on how much a standard salary can ever grow. The second rule explains why ownership wins. This equation, R is greater than G, shows that the return on capital, or the money made from owning things, grows faster than the economy itself. In plain English, wealth generated from owning assets like stocks or real estate compounds exponentially. Meanwhile, income earned from active labor only grows in a slow, linear way. The third rule governs money itself. Until 1971, the US dollar was tethered to gold, limiting how much currency the government could create. When that link was broken, we moved to a fiat system where central banks can print unconstrained amounts of money. This leads to persistent currency debasement, meaning every dollar you earn buys a little bit less every year. But this new money doesn't reach everyone at once. This is the Cantillon Effect. When the central bank creates new money, it enters the system through commercial banks and financial institutions first. Those at the top use that fresh cash to buy real estate and stocks at current prices. By the time that money trickles down to your paycheck, the prices of homes and groceries have already risen to reflect the new, larger money supply. The Cantillon Effect acts as an invisible tax, transferring real purchasing power from those who earn a salary to those who sit nearest to the monetary printing press. The fourth rule is found in the tax code, which taxes regular employment income at high rates while offering deep discounts to people who make money through ownership. The ultra-wealthy use this disparity to buy, borrow, and die. They buy assets that grow tax-free, borrow cash against those assets to live on without ever triggering an income tax, and then pass the assets to heirs with the previous tax debt completely erased. The fifth rule is the cost of living. Even as taxes take their share of your paycheck, the baseline costs of surviving and working have moved out of reach. Look at the gap in housing. Since 1985, nominal household incomes grew by 252%, but home prices surged by 403%. The ratio of home prices to income has jumped from a manageable 3-to-1 to over 5-to-1 today. Healthcare costs add a second layer of pressure. Employers often cover rising insurance premiums by reducing the annual raises they give to workers, acting as an invisible drag on your take-home pay. Finally, there is student debt. The cost of obtaining a degree has risen much faster than the actual wages those degrees provide, saddling young workers with a liability that delays their ability to start investing. This combination of regressive taxes and soaring daily costs forms an economic vice, often ensuring a salary leaves nothing behind for future growth. In this environment, simply saving your unspent cash in a standard bank account is a losing strategy. Governments use a policy called financial repression, keeping interest rates lower than inflation to devalue their own debt. But it also means your cash savings loses purchasing power every day, just like a block of ice melting in the sun. This forces average people out of safe savings and compels them to take risks in asset markets just to keep what they've already earned. This architecture reveals a hard truth. The system is designed to debase the value of your work while inflating the value of assets. Because of that, working purely for a salary is no longer a viable end goal. Survival requires a new approach. Your labor is a mechanism to generate cash flow, and the immediate priority must be converting that cash into permanent compounding ownership as early as possible. In this economy, you cannot work your way to wealth. You have to own your way there.